Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast. We have got another trip report for you today, and today we're going to go all the way up to Boston. But before we introduce our guest today, I want to introduce the co-host of the show from PackYourPixieDust.com, Christy Pudick. How are you doing today, Christy?
I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad. And it was snowing where you were, yesterday, I think, when we were talking?
Yeah, it snowed again today.
It snowed again today. And
it may be colder even.
And I think some of that snow may have found our guest state as well. We're going to go and talk to Christina all the way from Boston. How are you doing today, Christina?
I'm great.
And are you guys still getting snow up there with that nor'easter, or is things kind of starting to calm down a little bit?
It started to calm down a little bit.
After two nor'easters in a row, it's kind of a good time to relive your cruise down out of Miami on the Magic, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk to Christina. You had the opportunity to go in last February and travel on the Magic. You did a Marvel Day at Sea, and I'm really excited to talk about that because I've never experienced that. And have you experienced it, Christy?
I haven't.
Yeah, so that's going to be kind of fun to do. And before we jump into it, who all cruised with you, Christina?
So it's just my husband and I. We're both teachers, so we had to go during school vacation week. So it kind of limited our options a little bit, but we picked out this great cruise out of Miami, and we just got back a few weeks ago. So,
did you pick it out because it was a Marvel Day at Sea, or did it just kind of fit your schedule?
It fit our schedule, and we were like, the Marvel Day at Sea, Star Wars Day at Sea, we'll do Marvel this year, and maybe we'll do Star Wars next year.
Okay. Are you a big Marvel fan, or is your husband? Or are you both?
We both like the movies. We're not like huge comic book fans or anything, but both enjoy the movies, so we thought it could be kind of a fun, different thing to do at Day at Sea.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite character?
I probably would go into the cruise saying Captain America was my favorite, but I think we really enjoyed our interactions with Black Widow on the cruise, so I think we're leaving the cruise saying that she's our favorite.
How about you, Christy?
I don't think I know one
You don't know
Marvel character.
Oh, come on. Those are awesome movies. We just saw Black Panther, and I thought that was an amazing movie, too. So, but I've always liked Black Widow. So
Not my genre.
Not your genre?
I didn't know Black Widow. I guess that makes sense, but was a woman. I mean, whatever. It's not. Yeah, I got nothing.
That's okay.
I like Disney Cruise Line.
Well, there we go. Well, let's start from there. How did you guys get down from Boston to Miami? Did you guys fly down the day before, or did you fly in the day of?
We flew down the day before, and we actually used Disney transfers from the airport to the hotel that we had arranged with Disney, the Marriott Stanton on South Beach. So that worked out all really well. There was someone right at the airport, right at baggage claim with our name, and we basically, it was like a private car, just took the two of us over to the hotel, and it was a beautiful hotel right on the beach. So it was a very nice way to ease into the cruise in Miami.
Wow, I didn't realize you could do that. That's kind of cool that they'll pick you. You can arrange that ahead of time as well with the hotel.
Yeah, it was actually through the cruise line, and I had no idea what it was going to be like because, I'm thinking maybe it's like the Magical Express. It's a big bus, and that's how it was from the hotel to the port. But I guess we were the only people coming in at that time at the airport, so they just had a private car take the two of us. So it was really nice.
Well, cool. And did you have some time to spend on South Beach as well, since the hotel was right down there?
Yeah, we did. It was beautiful, especially that first day before the cruise. It was very nice weather. We went swimming a bunch, walked on the beach, enjoyed Big Pink's, which was right around the corner from the hotel, and got some gelato right down the street. So it was a very nice start to the cruise.
Oh, that's awesome. And so then you guys used Disney Cruise Line transportation from the hotel. This was your second Disney cruise, so you kind of knew the process for getting ahead online and picking your arrival time. What did you guys pick for an arrival time, and how did that work as far as taking transportation from the hotel to the port?
So they didn't actually ask us to pick an arrival time, I guess because we had the Disney transfers. So they picked us up at the hotel at about 11. They actually took our bags earlier that morning at 9 a.m. on the Sunday that our cruise started. And it was like a whole busload of people coming from the hotel. We got to the port about maybe 11:30. Had almost no line at security. Walked right in for the check-in. Took some pictures with Mickey and was probably on the boat by like 12:25. I think our biggest line was the picture with Mickey, but even that wasn't that very long.
That's kind of good to know. So we traveled out of Miami. Have you traveled out of Miami, Christy, with Disney?
Not with Disney.
Okay. And I'm not sure what the other terminals are like, but it's a pretty small terminal that you go through. And we got there, maybe about half an hour before they started boarding. So because there were so many people there, all the seats were taken. People were sitting on the floor and everything else. So that sounds like, getting there maybe just like an hour and a half after they first started boarding might have been a more enjoyable experience. And you guys weren't on the boat much later than we did. So that sounded like it went pretty well for you.
Yeah, it was great.
So you get on the ship, and is this the first time you've been on the Magic, or what was the other cruise that you went on?
So we've been on the Magic once before. We did the Mediterranean back in 2011, so it's been a while.
Okay.
So a lot has changed, but it's still the same basic layout.
So you're familiar with the ship. What did you guys do when you first got on? What did you gravitate towards?
We went right to lunch at Lumiere's, but actually I realized it was also on the Navigator the time that we could change our dining. And so we had originally picked second dining, and I'm not even sure if main dining was still open when we booked because we booked a little bit later. We booked in like November, but we decided we want to try to change it to main dining. So we went to check on that first, and it was very easy. We were like one of the first people in line because it opened up at 12:30, and we just told them we wanted to switch to main dining. We didn't mind sitting with other people. They were like, okay, great, just go to Lumiere's tonight at main dining time and they'll have your table ready for you. So that was really easy. I was a little bit concerned. We're both teachers and we're both now really used to eating pretty early. So I was like, second dining might not be the best option for us anymore. Even though when we were on the Magic back in Mediterranean, we loved second dining. We had like table mates that we enjoyed sitting for 2.5 hours with at dinner. But we're like, I'm not sure that really works for us anymore. So that was really easy, and then we went to Lumiere's and had lunch, and I had a Mickey bar for dessert, and life was good. We're on the cruise.
You're on your way. Could you go over that again, Christy, where if you want to change your main dining, where you do that and how you do that?
Yeah, so you can do it ahead of time. Ahead of the cruise, you can put yourself on a wait list, and sometimes they will actually get your wait list taken care of prior to the cruise even beginning. So you can put yourself there. And then if you haven't been switched over by the time you start the cruise, then you go to a designated dining room, which will be on the Navigator on the first day. Or, when you go to check in, they'll tell you where to go. And it's typically like it's Royal Court on the Fantasy. So it's typically that atrium dining room. And there's like a side door or whatever. And then they just put you on a list. The thing that people need to remember is that they'll do it. So some people, because, there's lots of conversations on social media and things like that. They do it based, for the most part, on the order that you've arrived to put yourself on the list. So if it is important and you're not already on the list, or you weren't switched, rather, I should say, prior to the cruise, then you do want to get to that spot as soon as possible because they go in order. And we know this because one time I needed to get switched myself. And the first night we weren't able to be accommodated. By the second day we were, but when I went to check on the status, they had the list and they had everybody crossed out ahead of us that had already been accommodated. But we were so far down because we had such a late arrival that we couldn't actually be moved until the next day. So there you go.
Okay. And how did that work out? So you guys switched from second to the main dining. How did that work out as far as your table mates this time? Or were you by yourselves?
It worked out fine for us. We were seated with a mother traveling with her son, who was about 6 years old. It was funny. The son was asking like how we got seated together, and the mom was like, "Oh, they assign you with people who like the same things you like. Like we all like Disney." And my husband was joking, like, "And we all liked getting switched to main dining." Like,
oh, well, cool. What grades do you guys teach?
I teach high school history, and my husband teaches middle school special ed.
Okay, so being with the sixth graders, kind of a new adventure, I guess, from your teaching experiences a little bit, I suppose, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. What type of cabin did you guys book, or where did you book this time?
We were in 6626, which was a veranda in the aft on the starboard side. and it was very nice. We enjoyed having the veranda. It wasn't much more expensive to go with a veranda versus inside stateroom. The 2 times we had previously sailed, we had done inside. But this time I noticed it wasn't that much more expensive. So we decided to do outside. When we went on a celebrity cruise 2 summers ago with my husband's family, they got us an outside stateroom, everyone that was involved. So we kind of got spoiled then by having the veranda. So we were like, oh, well, if it's not that much more expensive, we'll do it again here. And it was very nice. In the aft, we did feel a little bit of the like shaking from the engines or whatnot in the back, but it didn't like keep us up or anything like that.
When did you book this cruise?
We booked in November of 2017, so like a few months ahead of time, but not that long.
Was it a guaranteed rate, or did you pick your cabin?
No, it was before final payment. We picked our cabin, yeah.
Well, cool. So pretty happy with the veranda, and now you're stuck like the rest of us, not going back to the inside.
Yeah, unless it's much, much more expensive. Some of them it looks like it is, but not this sailing out of the Caribbean. It wasn't that much more.
Any tips from staying in the veranda cabin as far as for people that haven't had the opportunity to stay there? Any thoughts on staying there other than just having that outside space that you can think of? I
saw like a tip on Facebook or something ahead of time where someone suggested ordering like cookies and milk at night and getting I drink tea in the morning, so like a thing of hot water for tea, and it will usually stay warm till the next morning. So I did that a few nights, and it was nice to first thing in the morning be able to have a cup of tea out on the veranda without having to like order it and wait for it to come from room service. I was impressed that it stayed warm. I like didn't really believe that it would actually stay warm.
Nice.
My only tip.
No, that's good. Yeah, I would never have guessed that. I might even I might even try it with coffee. I wonder if that would work too. But yeah, that's an awesome tip. So I guess we got to go back. I forgot to even ask you. So this is a 5-day cruise. Where did it go?
So it went to Grand Cayman and Castaway Cay and back to Miami.
And 2 sea days, right? So, well, cool. Had you guys been to Grand Cayman before?
No, we hadn't been to Grand Cayman before, but now I want to go back. It was awesome.
Okay. Well, I guess before we talk about food and some of the other things, let's talk about your port adventures. What were you hoping to do when you got to what did you do when you went to Grand Cayman?
So I had looked just online and whatnot at what options were available at Grand Cayman, and something that really struck me was going to the Turtle Center and seeing they have 7,000 sea turtles at this turtle center. And I guess Disney used to do excursions there, but they don't anymore. The rumor mill is kind of that people complained about. The Turtle Center is actually a third of the turtles they release into the wild, a third of the turtles they keep and breed, and a third of them they sell for meat. I guess sea turtle is something people eat in Grand Cayman. And so it doesn't really bother me to look at cows before I have a cheeseburger. So I would still want to go check out.
So you ordered that turtle soup when you got back on board, huh?
Yeah, I'm a picky eater. I wouldn't order turtle soup, but I did want to go see the Turtle Center. So that's what we decided to do, even though Disney didn't have an excursion there. And it was our first time going off on our own without an excursion in a port. Mm-hmm. So we were a little nervous about making sure everything was easy enough for us to do. But I looked at the taxis and looked at they have a public bus system in Grand Cayman. Mm-hmm. So we found that really easy to use. We got to the port around 7:30, and Grand Cayman is where you have to tender. So we got on to the first tender probably around 8. I think it was the first tender off the boat. We walked to the public bus depot, probably 5-minute walk, because the area you go is right in the downtown. And we got on the yellow minibus, which took us down to the Turtle Center. It probably took about 40 minutes, maybe. I think a taxi would have been about 20 minutes, but the bus was $2.50 per person, US, each way, and I think a taxi was about 20, so it seemed a lot easier to do the bus. It took a little bit longer because they dropped off and picked up people along the route, but it was very straightforward and simple, and the bus stopped right in front of the Turtle Center on our way back, too, so it was very easy to come back on the bus as well.
I'm going to ask a really stupid question because I'm not sure I know this, but for the most part, all the islands down in the Caribbean use dollars, right? There's no as far as getting on the bus and everything like that. You
could pay in the Canadian dollar or US dollars. I think it was $2.50 for US dollars, they had a little sign right on the bus. So.
And I guess I didn't phrase that right. I guess what I meant was you can use dollars in most of the Caribbean islands without having to exchange currency. Is that true, you guys?
Yeah.
So you guys have been down there more?
Yes. I don't really know in Mexico, for example, if you could take public transportation, if you could take a bus with U.S. dollars. I don't honestly know one way or another.
I've done it in Mexico, down in like Cabo and Puerto Vallarta, but generally it's easier to use pesos because they're going to charge you a little bit more, but it's really not that much. But that's kind of cool. I never really thought about that before.
What'd you think of the Turtle Center?
It was, I loved it. It was fantastic. We got tickets online ahead of time and like saved 20% by doing that. And they had kind of two options for the tickets. You could get, I think it was $18 for just seeing the first part of the Turtle Center, which has the breeding pool where you can see the larger turtles swimming around. And then there's a place where you can go wading with the smaller baby turtles and you can pick them up and take pictures with them. And that was all fantastic. But then we also had the like slightly larger one that said the whole park, and it was $36 online, so not a huge difference. But what was great about that was there was a whole snorkeling lagoon that you could go snorkel with the turtles and a lot of other fish and whatnot. And it was a pretty big area, and we brought our own snorkel gear we bought on Amazon. And we hadn't really snorkeled that much before, but we were like, oh, we'll try it. We're going to Hawaii later this summer, so we're like, oh, we'll have the snorkel gear for there too. And we loved it. We probably spent like an hour and a half snorkeling in the snorkel lagoon there, and we weren't really sure what to expect, but we really enjoyed it. They also have a little aviary, and we saw the Cayman parrot there, and they have a kind of a water park area too. It's pretty small, but it has a number of slides and whatnot. We didn't go over there just because we were enjoying the turtles so much, but there was a lot there.
So how long did you guys stay there, do you think, about?
We probably got there around 9, and we probably left around 1.
Okay, so
about 4 hours. Yeah, we enjoyed it. We thought everything was really clean, and there was nice bathrooms and showers and everything you could use to change and everything there.
Good point on the showers. I didn't even think to ask that, so especially after getting out of the water. And then you took the bus back to downtown before you tendered back. Did you guys wander around downtown at all, or what did you guys do before you headed back to the ship?
We pretty much got back on the ship. We were thinking about going to see Black Panther had just come out, and that was playing on that afternoon. And we ended up just deciding to get room service and take a nap in our room. But it was a very nice day in Grand Cayman and easy enough to get back on the boat with the tender and everything.
Yeah, it's a beautiful island, isn't it? Yeah.
It was a gorgeous island, a great day.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, let's, before we talk about Castaway Cay, because I know Christy likes to talk about Castaway Cay. Well, I guess let's just talk about Castaway Cay. You had been there? No, you hadn't, because you went to the Mediterranean. So this is your first time in Castaway Cay. What did you guys plan to do there, and what did you think of it? We
really enjoyed it. We were supposed to get into Castaway Cay, I think, around 7:30 as well, like Grand Cayman. And we had signed up for the 5K, so we were supposed to meet at 8:15 for the 5K. But we actually got delayed a little bit getting into Castaway Cay, which I hear is not that unusual. So we were up at probably 7:30 or something, having breakfast in Cabanas, and we heard these rumors from people that we were being delayed. So we went and checked in with the 5K people, and they said, oh yeah, we are delayed. So just like when you see us get docked, come back and check in with us. So then they made an announcement probably closer to 9 o'clock that we were delayed over the loudspeaker, but that the character meet and greets that were supposed to start at 9 o'clock on the island would start taking place in the atrium. So we went and checked out the character meet and greets and checked in for the 5K. And then we went and did the 5K, which was definitely a 5K walk for us. It was about almost 10 o'clock by that time, and it was definitely getting warm on the island. But we enjoyed that, and then we kind of trekked back towards the ship to get a picture taken with our medals and the ship in the background. And then we went and did snorkeling on the family beach, which we enjoyed. It wasn't as great as snorkeling with the sea turtles, but, it was natural, except for the Minnie and Mickey, which were great to find, too. Then we headed over to the adult beach and the Serenity Bay barbecue, which is there. The adult beach has, at that barbecue, they have steaks out as well for lunch. So our head server had told us that the night before, like, oh, make sure you have lunch at the adult beach. So we enjoyed that. I had lots of strawberry soft serve while we were there. And then we just relaxed on Serenity Bay for the rest of the day. It's very shallow there, the water in the adult beach area, but it was still nice to hang out in, and they had some music playing, which was great. We hung out in the hammocks for a while. Very nice, relaxing day.
Sounds perfect. I'm dreaming of being there myself.
Yeah, it is kind of shallow when you go snorkeling too. I remember that being, you had to go quite a ways out before it dropped off, where you found, like you said, the Mickey and the Minnie statues and everything like that were kind of dropped out. And I saw a lot of people when they were snorkeling, they never made it out as far. And I think, they were trying to snorkel, but it was so shallow that the sand was getting kicked up, and I think a lot of people kind of gave up on it. But that's the one thing I kind of noticed is get a little bit further out there and it drops off, and then you can see a lot more. But what a magical day, huh?
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, well, so this was a Marvel Day at Sea. I guess we should talk about that a little bit. And did you guys do any looking into what to expect before the cruise, or did you just kind of go in blind and see what all they did?
Yeah, I'm a pretty big over planner, so I did a lot of kind of looking at what had happened on other Marvel Day at Sea cruises ahead of time, which was good. And it's funny, the first thing my husband said when we got on the ship was, we should go to the store. My husband's a little bit of a larger guy, and he's like, they're going to run out of 2XL Marvel Day at Sea shirts, and that's probably what I'm going to want to buy as a souvenir, so we should go buy one today. Mm-hmm. And so right after lunch, we would go over to the stores. The stores don't open right after lunch. They don't open until 6 p.m. But
did you rope draft the store?
Yeah, right after dinner, we went to the store. And of course, we went in to find him a Marvel Day at Sea shirt, and I left with $200 worth of Marvel Day at Sea stuff. But
the stuff is so addicting. It's just so addicting and cute.
So did you get a shirt then?
He did.
Okay.
He got a shirt. I got a shirt. We got lots of other stuff. We even got they had name tags. This was down at the store by O'Gill's. They make Marvel Day at Sea name tags with your name and the Marvel Day at Sea logo. And you can also you have to pick a planet that you're from. And they have this whole list of planets. Earth wasn't on there, or we probably would have picked that, I don't think. But we picked Sovereign just because we had heard of that word and knew what the word was, even though we didn't really know anything about the planet. So we got that. And I had ordered ahead of time the Avengers Assemble room decorations, which were $50. And I was like, well, if you're paying so much for a cruise that's Marvel Day at Sea, I might as well have the decorations that are Marvel Day at Sea in our room. And I think they were worth the $50 because it was 3 people or depictions of people hanging from the ceiling, and they had to have big magnets, to hang it from the ceiling. They had a kind of a cutout. It looked like that, Iron Man had crashed through your ceiling to come into your room. So there was Iron Man, Captain America, and Spider-Man hanging from the ceiling, and then Thor and Captain America's shield were magnets on the bathroom doors, and then the Hulk was a window cling coming in through the veranda. So
okay, that sounds fun.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it definitely puts you in the mood, huh?
Right, exactly. And I didn't tell my husband beforehand, so we walked in and he's like, "What is all this?" And I was like, "It looks like fun on the website."
I did recognize some of those characters, at least.
So talk us through the whole day. I've heard in Star Wars Day at Sea, they kind of start off with the music and they're making announcements in the morning that are all kind of themed towards Star Wars. Talk us through the whole day, what you guys did, just starting from the morning and on through the whole day.
And real quick, did you pre-register for anything? Is there anything to pre-register for?
Yeah, good point.
We did. There was 2 meet and greets to pre-register for. One is called the New York meet and greet, and one is with Groot. So we pre-booked our New York meet and greet for 8 a.m. because we figured that way we wouldn't be missing anything else by being at it. So that's the first thing we did in the morning. And it wasn't very crowded at that time. I think they started at 7:30 because we showed up probably 7:55 and there was hardly anyone in there. And so at the New York meet and greet, we met Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Iron Man, and they all were great. They posed with us. They talked to us for a little bit. We decided to try one of the photo frames to get signed. We don't usually get people's character signatures, but we figured we're on the cruise. Let's try one of the photo frames. So we actually brought 2 because we heard that you can't have Marvel characters sign on the same as the traditional Disney characters. So we had one just for the Marvel characters. So Spider-Man and Black Panther signed that. Iron Man and Groot can't sign. I guess their hands are a little hard to sign with. So we saw all three of them first thing in the morning. We knew the lines probably get pretty bad for some of the scheduled meet and greets. So there's like the 4 characters you sign up for ahead of time, and then there's 4 characters that are scheduled for meet and greets, and then there's 4 characters that just roam around that you can get pictures with. So next we had breakfast, and then we went to line up for the meet and greet with that. It would be with Loki that starts at 9:15. We probably got in line about 9, and we were a number of families back, but the line continued to grow much more while we were in line. That was on deck 4, and what was kind of cool was that he actually showed up on deck 5 above us at probably like 9:10, and like saw the big line of people waiting to meet with him, and made a pronouncement about how like this wasn't as easy the last time he tried to take over Earth or something like that. So that we met him probably around 9:30, and he knew much more about Sovereign, the planet we were from, that he noticed on our name tags than we did. So he mentioned how he had tangled with them a few times before, and he asked us why we weren't gold anymore. So now I'm learning things about this planet that I claimed I was from. Apparently I'm supposed to be gold. And he had kind of a cool backdrop, him and then Thor met on the same backdrop on deck 4, where they had that like kind of goldish Rome that like Idris Elba transfers people to other planets from. I have no idea what it's called, but in the movie they go to other planets from this like kind of gold room, and that looked like what he was standing in front of for his backdrop. So that was kind of cool. We finished up that about 9:30, and we saw Star-Lord and Gamora come out and kind of start roaming on the 4th floor. But we went and lined up for Black Widow because she was supposed to meet at 9:45 in Preludes. So we got in that line, and we were there probably right around 9:30, and we got to see her at 10:07, according to my camera. Her line was already pretty long when we got in it. She was great. After that, we went to go see what the line for Thor was, and it was already really long. So we decided that we would just meet Star-Lord and Gamora while they were there, and then get back in line where Black Widow was to meet Captain America, because he was coming out. Thor was supposed to be out at 10:15, and Captain America was coming out at 11:15. No, at 10:45. He was coming out. So we got back in line probably like right around 10:15. We were one of the first families in line to meet Captain America. So we hung around in that line for a half hour, and then got to meet him when he came out at right around 10:45, 10:50. So that was great. We had to head to our meet and greet with Groot, which was at 11:15. But on the way, we decided to walk on the 5th floor because I had heard that's where Hawkeye and Doctor Strange sometimes come out. And we did find Hawkeye then. So we took a picture with him, but we didn't find Doctor Strange. So we headed to meet Groot. It was the meet and greet for that was in Animator's Palace. The meet and greet for the New York group was in the D Lounge, I think they call it. That's off on the 4th floor. Mm-hmm. So we met Groot, and then we came. I told you already, Groot doesn't sign, right?
Right.
But he did miss our name tags and indicated that he wanted a name tag to say "I am Groot," which I thought was funny.
So was it Groot or Baby Groot?
It was Big Groot.
Oh, it was Baby Groot. Oh, Big Groot. You said. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. He was big. He my husband's like 6'2", so he was significantly taller than him. He must have been on stilts or something. Uh-huh. We went. This was like 11:30 probably at this point, and Thor was coming out at 12:15, which seems a little early to get in line for him, but we figured like we should probably just get in line because the lines were kind of getting crazy at that point. So that line was on the 4th floor again, and we were one of the first families lined up to meet Thor. So as we were waiting, the line definitely did grow much larger. So it was good we got in line when we did. We also got to see the Marvel-themed diaper dash they had with kids while we waited on the 3rd floor, something we never would have gone to see otherwise. But since we were there, it was kind of funny to watch. So then we met Thor, which was great. He also had a comment about like the planet we were from on our name tags, as did Star-Lord. And then afterwards, when we got home, I was like Googling, like, where is this planet from? And it is Guardians, which is probably like our least favorite of the Marvel movies. So then we had lunch back in Lumiere's. And then we watched the Marvel costume celebration at 1:15. There were some pretty good costumes of like guests on our cruise. There was one couple that was Captain America from World War II and Agent Peggy Carter. And there was another couple that were Gamora and Vision. So it's kind of some fun stuff. And then at like 1:30, which is at the end of the costume celebration, the Disney characters all came out in their Marvel outfits.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. And they did like a meet and greet then, which they hadn't announced ahead of time. Someone had mentioned it on one of the Facebook groups or something that I'd seen ahead of time. There was no official photographer there, and we had bought the photo package. So we were like taking advantage of all the meet and greets with the official photographer, but we still went and met them then. What's cool is that they met in pairs. So like Captain America Mickey and Spider-Man Minnie came up to the 4th floor where we were watching. So we met them first, and then we went downstairs, and we were actually able to meet all the pairs by like 2:00 when they left. So we met Hulk Donald and Black Widow Daisy that were together, and then Iron Man Goofy and Pluto, who had like a generic Avengers thing on. And then Thor and Loki Chippendale, we met together too, which was cool.
So kind of what I'm getting from this is definitely sign up ahead of time to get some of those characters met so that you don't have to deal with the lines. And then it sounds like if you're on it early, it didn't seem like you guys had to wait too long to meet most of the characters, versus if you waited a little bit later, you might be standing in the lines longer.
Yeah, and I think it can help to look at if there are previous navigators that you can see to kind of pick out like what you want to do. Like, so we were saying, oh, well, it's going to be all the characters first, and then if there's anything else we want to do, we'll do it in the afternoon. But by the time the afternoon came around, we were like, do we really want to go to Marvel trivia, or do we want to do this? And we're like, oh, we'll just go to the pool. So we actually went and relaxed by the pool for a couple hours and kind of got away from the Marvel stuff. They're not too far away from it, because by the buffet and the drink station, they had set up these like big pictures of the different Marvel characters. So that was kind of cool too. And they had some mildly themed desserts on the buffet that we checked out. So then when we went back to our room later to change from the pool, we noticed that they had put the Marvel bed runner thing you get included in on the bed, and a towel shaped like Thor's hammer. So that was kind of fun.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I was going to ask you that if they do any towel animals that are a little bit different, like Marvel theme. That's kind of neat to have. Could you pick it up?
Yes, you can pick this one. Unlike Thor's regular.
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So then we went and did Meet the Masters with, I think his name, I might be butchering his name, but Phil Nocho. He was a comic book artist who's worked at Marvel for 9 years. And so he told us about his work at Marvel and how he like rebooted the Black Widow comics, and then he live drew for us on his iPad Captain America while he answered questions. So it was only a half hour, but it was pretty interesting. Like, we're not big comic book people, so we were kind of like, oh, my husband was very skeptical, like, is this going to be interesting at all? But it was actually pretty interesting, and it was only a half hour. So, and then we went and saw the Doctor Strange show. So they have kids come up and like learn the mystic arts with various games at the beginning. And then Doctor Strange flies around and has some kind of special effects when some people that are kind of like working for him screw something up, and he has to like kind of fly in and kind of save the day, I guess you could say. So that was kind of a cute show in the main theater. Then we went and did Comic Academy, where we drew Captain America. My Captain America does not look at all like Captain America, but nonetheless, we drew Captain America.
Had you done that before? Not the comic one necessarily, but have you done the drawing classes before when you guys did the Mediterranean by any chance?
No, we didn't do it then. We did do one with Goofy on the day at sea earlier in this cruise.
Okay.
Goofy is also not very good, but it was fun. The comic one was really popular. Like it was in the Promenade Lounge, and all the tables were full, and there were kids sitting on the floor doing it. So we got a table because we got there a few minutes early, but that was funny that it was just so crowded. So then they had all the Disney characters out again before dinner in their Marvel outfits. So we got a few of those taken again with the like official photographers. We'd get the 8x10s included, which was nice. We had dinner. There was a special Marvel dinner menu, and the servers all had special Marvel ties on. We noticed that some of the servers up by the pool also had special Marvel ties on.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And then after dinner, we went up to the deck. They have a Mickey and Friends superhero celebration where kind of like each of the Disney characters comes out and shows off their Marvel costume, and they highlight a quality of a superhero, like determination or dedication or something like that, that they feel like that superhero highlights. It was super windy our day, so we noticed that the Disney characters had lost the hats before they got on the deck. But I was kind of worried while we were waiting for the show. We got up there probably like 5 minutes early, and it was super windy, so windy that they have a sign out for the kids zone, and it like flew over and hit a kid.
Oh, God.
He seemed unbothered by the fact he was hit by a sign. But then the cast members came out with this kind of like sandbag to hold it down, and they were putting the sandbag down and put it in a corner and like thought it would be okay. And then they're standing there watching it, and they're like, nope, it's going to blow over again. And they just like took the sign away. I was like, oh no, I hope like the shows on deck don't get canceled because it's so windy. So we saw that on deck, and then we went downstairs, and there was a USO show in Fathoms, I think it was, where they had like 2 lounge singers singing kind of 1940s songs with 2 dancers like from Captain America, the First Avenger. So that was kind of cool. And then we went out and met some more characters wandering around in the lobby atrium. Actually, even though they weren't on the agenda, we saw pretty much all the characters back out again at this point. So we actually took a picture with Hawkeye and Black Widow together, which was kind of cool. And we got to see Doctor Strange, who we hadn't seen earlier. We saw Black Panther again, and he was like, didn't I see you earlier? And we were like, yeah, but you can't walk by Black Panther on the stairs and not like want to stop for a photo, right? Then we went and drew Groot in the Comic Academy, which was fun again. And then we went upstairs to the deck for the Marvel's Hero Unite deck party. And this is what they had been making. Most of the announcements, like you said about Star Wars, they had those announcements during the day too from different characters. And most of the announcements had been kind of advertising to come to this deck party at night. So I had heard that it was pretty great. So we kind of got spots a few minutes before, and I was a little worried because it was so windy. But it seemed to all work out okay. They start with like a Stark Industry event where Iron Man is supposed to be showing off this new powerful weapon, actually new powerful energy source that's going to power the cruise boat. And he brings out Captain America and Black Widow, who are there just to like support it. And then Loki shows up and starts causing trouble. And he turns out to be working with the Red Skull, who also shows up. And so Hydra and the Red Skull start trying to take over the ship. And it was really cool. They show on the big screen like cameras from different places around the ship where like all the Marvel characters come out of the woods basically to come help with the fight against Hydra to like prevent them from taking over the ship. And they show them like pretty much all over the ship fighting. And a couple like ran by us on deck 10. So that was pretty fun. And then right at the end of the show, Star-Lord, Gamora, and Groot show up, kind of late to the party. But after the rest of the Marvel characters leave, Star-Lord, Gamora, and Groot have kind of like a dance party where they're like trying to get the crowd dancing. So that was fun. And then there was supposed to be a Guardian dance party type thing in Fathoms afterwards. So we went down to check that out. Like I said earlier, we're not super big Guardians fans. And there were some random Guardians that we didn't really recognize wandering around the room. And we were like, we are so tired, so we're just going to go to bed. But that might have been really fun, too. There is something there.
Wow, what an amazing day. I'm just kind of worn out listening to all that, too.
Yeah, it was involved.
Yeah, what an amazing... That was the sea day before you guys got to Castaway Cay, so it was like day 3 of your cruise, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, day 4.
Okay,
yeah.
Day 4, and then you go to Castaway Cay, and then you're off the next day. So, man, thanks for the tips on, getting there early and signing up. Did you sign up online, or did you sign up for those character meet and greets once you got on the ship?
So I did them on online check-in, but there were people who were coming up to the lines. We saw some people later in the day, like, confused. Oh, can we just get in this line now? And the cast members were sending them to guest services to see if there were extra tickets that they could sign up for. So I think they even had the New York meet again on Castaway Cay Day, that some people were going to see it then. It wasn't just on the Marvel Day at Sea. There were lots of options to see them. but I signed up for them when we checked in.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool that they did that, just in case, you get too many people. They can't have everybody meet them on the actual day, so it kind of gives people options to see it on a different day too. So the Red Skull and Hydra are the bad guys, Christy. Just FYI.
Thank you.
Man, I'm terrible. Anyways, so we haven't really talked about food yet, but did anything stick out as far as your dining experiences through the week on your cruise, whether at Cabanas or at any of the restaurants that kind of stuck out this time that you really enjoyed?
So I'm a super picky eater, so our servers were great about that. Like the first night I ordered the filet and asked for like well done, no sauce, and they were great about that. Every night basically that's the same thing I got pretty much for the whole cruise. Like even in Animator's Palette where it says that there's a marinated filet, our server was like, oh no, I got you one that's not marinated. So I don't know if like the marinade is so light that it's not an issue, or if they got me one for the next night that hadn't been marinated yet or whatever. But our servers were great about that. We also tried the Palo brunch for the first time, which was pretty awesome. I had an adorable Mickey waffle, which was really cute, but wasn't particularly like specially tasty or anything. But they had fantastic pizza in Palo. And I had a steak that was very good. My husband said the lasagna there was the best he's ever had. And he wasn't even going to order it. He was just going to get the chicken parm because everyone raves about the chicken parm. And he ordered the chicken parm and the waiter was like, oh, you should get something else too. And my husband was like, oh, like, what do you suggest? And the waiter was like, oh, try the lasagna. So he got the lasagna and the chicken parm and he loved them both. And the buffet they have a selection of kind of appetizers and desserts and chocolate-covered strawberries. So I probably had 6 or 7 chocolate-covered strawberries. That was great. Our only criticism of the food, I think, was the breakfast. We didn't feel like we're that great. So we tried both the dining room 3 times and Cabanas twice for breakfast. And like I didn't get good scrambled eggs pretty much any time except for the one time in Cabanas where I went and asked for fresh scrambled eggs because the ones that they had out were not very good, in my opinion, at least. I'm sure some people love them. But I was kind of like, you can cook my filet perfectly every night, but you can't make me good scrambled eggs. Like, I don't understand. And my husband was not impressed with the waffles or pancakes either. So we were like, you do so good for dinner. How come breakfast is mediocre? But yeah, the lunches were good. We had room service one day. I can't recommend the room service chicken noodle soup, at least on our ship. It was not very good, but the grilled cheese was okay. The hot dogs were good. Overall, food was pretty good. I love their selection of tea at in the dining rooms and at the beverage station upstairs. I prefer decaf Earl Grey tea, and they had that everywhere, which is like not something you usually find places. I liked the large selection of tea.
Yeah, I guess I've never really asked or talked to anybody about the tea, so they do have a wide selection. So you don't necessarily have to go to the Cove Cafe to get specialty teas then when you're out and about the ship?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Does that make sense what I'm asking, I guess? Because you can get just regular coffee, but if you want to get like a latte or something like that, you've got to go to the Cove Cafe, and that's an added price versus all of that was included with the teas.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I stopped by the Cove Cafe to see if they had any good desserts out, in the afternoon. But I didn't have to go get tea there.
Okay. So well, cool. Did they have Pirate Night too?
They did.
Okay.
It was the same day we were in Grand Cayman that night. That might have helped with the Marvel Day at Sea the next morning, some of the lines not being as long first thing in the morning, because people might have been up late we stayed up late to see the pirate fireworks. So those were at 10:30 on the Grand Cayman Day, and then the next morning was Marvel Day at Sea. So we were kind of figuring, maybe some people are sleeping in. That's why the lines didn't get long till 10 o'clock.
Right. Well, I guess all good things, they kind of have to come to an end. So how did the embarkation go for you once you guys got back to Miami?
That worked out great too. So to extend our vacation to, the last possible minute, we booked a post night on Miami Beach as well through Disney, with their transfers and everything. And they left a paper. My husband kept asking me what are we going to do? Do you know when we're supposed to get off? And I'm like, they're going to send a piece of paper. They're going to leave a piece of paper. I'm not worried about it. So they left a piece of paper saying we should get off the boat by 9 and that by 9:30 we should be out front for the transportation to the hotel. So we had a purple mini luggage tag. So when they called that about 8:30, 8:35 in the morning, we had just been kind of hanging out by Cove Cove Cafe. This was actually, the cruise was going into dry dock right afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of cool to like hang out and watch. They were starting to put like plywood down over the decks up top. So we had breakfast at like 7 or something because we had first dining, and then we were just like hanging out, checking our email by the Cove Cafe, and then we got called around 8:30. So we went downstairs and we, went through customs and all that stuff. That was super easy. They actually had a global entry line, which I didn't know that they had for cruise ports. It didn't really matter because the other lines weren't that long either, but we have global entry, so we went through that line. And then by like 8:45, we were outside with our bags, and I was like, oh, they said we needed to be out here by 9:30. And we're like super early now, but let's go try to like find the people and check in. So we asked one of the Disney cruise people, oh, where should we go for getting the transfer back to the hotel? And she like called over this like van limo thing. And we got in, and there was already 4 other people in it, just like one other family. And we were off to the hotel, and we were like at the pool hanging out by South Beach by 9:30 at the hotel. So we like looked at our watch and we're like, oh, they worked out early. Because they said we had to leave by 9:30, and here we are, like already on the beach at 9:30.
Nice.
I kind of like that idea of. Have you ever done that, Christy? Like stayed another day after the cruise?
I haven't.
I kind of like that idea as I'm listening to it. It's like kind of because it's such a final closure when you get off the boat and then you got to go to make the trek to the airport and go home. That it'd be kind of nice to spend one more day like that. I think.
Yeah, it was very nice. The ocean conditions weren't quite as nice as the first day we were there before the cruise. There was a little bit more wind. There was a lot of people out surfing, but we were kind of like, we don't really want to go in the ocean with how big the waves are. We watched the surfers for a little bit and walked on the beach, mostly just like hung out at the hotel pool. But it was very nice to get off the cruise and not be like, oh, our vacation's over. Like we have another full day of relaxing in the warmth and the sun before we have to head back to cold New England.
Right.
Were you at the same hotel?
Yeah, the same hotel, the Marriott Stanton on South Beach. So it was great and easy. And then the next morning at 6:15, Disney sent a driver to pick us up to bring us to the airport for our 8:45 flight. So it was all very easy. Again, it was just the 2 of us in a car going to the airport. So
nice.
Well, cool. Did you guys rebook while you're on the cruise, or do you have another cruise in the plans yet?
Yeah, we're going to go back again during February break on a Disney cruise in 2019 out of Port Canaveral, a 7-day on the Fantasy with a Star Wars day at sea.
Oh, cool. Are you guys Star Wars fans too, or?
Yeah, kind of.
Maybe a step above me as a Star Wars fan.
We've seen.
I'm at least familiar who those people are.
We kind of figure that it's a fun thing to do at a day at sea. Why not?
Well, that's exciting to finally get up on one of the Dream Class ships. I'm sure you guys are excited to see a little bit bigger ship too.
Yeah, I hear it gets more crowded at Castaway though, so we'll see.
Yeah, but in the Serenity Bay, it's still. I think you won't have as many problems.
Maybe we'll get to try yoga on Serenity Bay. I noticed that was on the schedule. We couldn't get there this time, but I was like, oh, that could be fun. Never tried that before.
That would be nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Christine. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your adventure with Disney Cruise Line, and especially the Star Wars. I got Star Wars on the brain now. The Marvel Day at Sea. It just sounds like kind of a fun day to be going around and meeting all the characters, and then seeing that show kind of cap it off at the evening. So I want to thank you once again for coming on and sharing that with all our listeners.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And wish you best of luck as you guys go through this last nor'easter. Hopefully that's the last one, and spring will be on its way soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming on, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I want to thank Christina for coming on and sharing her and her husband's incredible trip on the Disney Magic as they got to experience a full Marvel Day at Sea. It was a lot of fun talking to her. And I hope you're enjoying these Trip Report podcasts that we're being able to bring to you. I really want to thank all of you out there who have reached out to Christy and I to come on and share your experiences. And if there's anybody else out there that has recently traveled with Adventures by Disney or Disney Cruise Line or done a Run Disney event and you guys would like to come on and share your experience, we'd love to have you. You can reach me at DCL Podcast on Facebook or on Twitter at DCL Podcast as well. Of course, you can always reach Christy on Facebook at Pack Your Pixie Dust and on Twitter at PackYR Pixie Dust as well. And if there's anybody else out there that you know who would enjoy our show, we'd love it if you pass it on to them. That helps us grow the show. and gets the word out in the cruising and Disney community as well. So between now and our next show, if you're heading out on your next trip, all of us here at the DCL Podcast would like to wish you fair winds and safe travels as you head out on your next adventure. Once again, thanks for coming back and listening, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.